The topic of this video is scientific notation. Did you know that the distance between the Earth and Proxima Centauri, the closest star to Earth, is 40,208,000,000,000 kilometers? That's a lot of zeros. And the mass of a single carbon atom is That's a lot of zeros too. Scientific notation is the way of expressing a very small or very large numbers in a more convenient form. That is also called scientific notation. In this video, we will look at how to convert numbers from standard notation to scientific notation and vice versa. The scientific notation has two parts: n times 10 to the power of k, where n is the number greater or equal 1 but less than 10. It can be 9.999 but not 10. And k is an integer. For example, 530, number written in standard notation, will be 5.3 times 10 to the second power in the scientific notation, and 0.053, 53 thousandths, written in scientific notation, will be 5.3 times 10 to the negative 2 power. So where did I get this power of 2 or power of negative 2? Well, if we convert the scientific notation back to the standard notation, we would need to multiply 5.3 times 10 to the second power. Multiplying by the power of 10, meaning we need to move decimal point as many times to the right or to the left, depending on the sign of the power. In this case, we will need to move the decimal 2 times to the right, because the power of 10 is positive 2. Let's do that. We are moving this decimal 2 times to the right. Because there's empty space, we add the 0. The decimal is right here. So 5.3 times 10 to the second power becomes 530. Back to the standard notation. Let's do the same operation with the next number, 5.3 times 10 to the negative 2. In this case, because the power of 10 is negative 2, we will move decimal point 2 times to the left. Remember, if the power is positive, we move decimal point to the right this many times. If the power of 10 is negative, we move decimal point to the left this many times. 5.3, move decimal 2 times, add the 0 to the missing space, add the 0 before the decimal, and we're back to the standard notation, 0.053. The next question would be, how do we decide what power to put here and where to put the decimal when we convert the number from standard to scientific notation? Let's look again at 530 and convert it to scientific notation. Remember, scientific notation consists of two parts: the number between 1 and the 10, not including 10, and 10 to the integer power. Start looking at the digits from left to right. The first non-zero digit will be your first digit in the scientific notation. In this case, it's 5. Put decimal point and copy down all non-zero digits that you have. In this case, it's 3. Times 10. Now we need to decide what power of 10 we'll put here. Well, we had the decimal point after 0, 530 point. Remember, if you ever think, where do you put the decimal point in the whole number? Before the number or after? Think about dollars. If you put the decimal point before 530, you will have $530 suddenly becomes 53 cents. So always put decimal point after the whole number. And then since we moved decimal point 2 times to the left, we put positive 2 power, because to convert back from scientific notation to standard notation, we'll have to move the decimal point 2 times to the right. So we need this power to be positive. The other case will be the small numbers that we convert to scientific notation. So let's look at 0.053 and convert it to scientific notation. Again, start looking at the digits from left to right. The first non-zero digit is 5. That will be our first part of the scientific notation, 5 point. Copy down all non-zero digits, 3 times 10. Now we decide what power of 10 we write here. If you want to go back from 5.3 to 0.053, we will need to move decimal point to the left. This is how we know that the power of 10, in this case, is going to be negative. How many times we'll need to go back? Well, we just went 2 times to the right when we converted the number from standard notation to scientific, so we'll need to go back to the left 2 times. Now practice it on your own.